All right, Altitude people, welcome to the market recap. Today we had a trade in Euro USD. We had a bearish bias, as I said in my yesterday video, that we will be bearish tomorrow or possibly even the next day. And tomorrow looks like to be another bearish day for me. But today we had a bearish bias. This is why I said a market recap and not a trade recap, because we did have a setup today. We had a shorting opportunity here. We had a SMT divergence. Model 1 was there. We had this body as our Model 1. Since this body does not offer a 2RR, 2-hour major on liquidity, we cannot proceed to take it. As well, this offered us a less than 2RR, as well as the body was fat, meaning it was thick. So we're looking to enter based on the threshold, but we weren't even meant to be entering a threshold on this because market did a big impulsive move to the downside, where it wouldn't make sense for the market to go back all to the threshold and go lower. So in this trade, our entry overall would have had to been here or this auto block by itself, and putting our stop loss right above the body. Since this threshold is protected, meaning market did a big impulsive move to the downside, where it wouldn't make sense for the market to do a pushback up all the way to the threshold before moving down. We are safe to put our entry just on the order block or the threshold, or not threshold, because it would, as I said, it wouldn't make sense for the market to do a deep retracement. So it would make sense for our entry to be just at the Model 1 itself, and our stop loss just on the body. Why? Because since the market will not do a big deep retracement, we are safe to put it here since the stop loss is safe, and as well as wick doing the damage, body telling the story. But what I took the trade out of was I was looking to take a threshold, because to me at that moment the order block right over here was just two consecutive candles. So this to me was not the order block. My order block to me was this. How come this is my order block? Because market never tapped this and it did a consecutive candle closure without tapping this. So my order block was overall this candle. This candle right over here did not offer a 2RR. So I was looking for a threshold. Was there any lesson that could be learned from this trade? Did we, not this trade recap that we missed, or potentially we didn't get in this trade. So this is not even a missed trade. This is more on the market never office setup, and our type of setup where we want a threshold to get tapped because the order block was thick. So that threshold would have been the one to get into. But to go around, you have to go around this. So like I say, you have to go based on your intuitions. In my eyes, I was like, man, threshold or no entries. Because somebody could have taken this auto block, could have made profit. Cool. Somebody could have taken my sort of entry, which most of you guys did. You would have not been a trade. Cool. It's all based on the intuitions of what you feel, your instincts. Yes, they may be bad because you're basically going out of your feelings, but regardless, this is the only way. This is the only solution for it, because you do not want to enter here because you're bidding such a wide stop loss. And so if that's gonna happen, you have to go based on intuitions. And my intuitions, my instinct, I was thinking about just the threshold entry. This auto block right over here, somebody could have taken it. I didn't proceed to take it, but it would definitely make more sense to enter on this auto block itself, Although this is the actual order block, you could have entered this. Why would it make sense? Because the threshold I said would not get tapped because market data impulse move to the downside. Since the threshold will not be tapped, you're safe to just enter on the mod 1 itself, the one that offers you more RR. You could put your stop loss just on the body since the threshold is protected. So this would have definitely made sense. But I will not count this as a missed trade. I will count this as just a market recap. Because realistically, my rule says I could have only entered here, I could have only entered here. But there's going to be times where I'll just enter this mod 1 itself. It's based on logic and feelings. At this point, there is no feelings at this trade because logically it wouldn't make sense for the market to go here. So you're not using no feelings, just logic. Just the simplest thing. And our take profit was just the 4 CRT low. As you guys know, from the last week, we changed our Thursday and Friday rule just to targeting the 4-hour or the hourly CRT highs and lows and nothing else because of the backlash we have faced. Market would have to take profit, come back down lower, stop us out. We would rather, when it hits our take profit, we're partialing. We still have a lot of position running, and that the rest of the position gets stopped out. So we basically make nothing. So now what this makes us the full amount. So now before we go into the lesson, which I semi told you guys already, we go to the top down analysis to my bearish bias here. Starting from the weekly time frame, we had a weekly RVI gap to the upside, weekly IRL to ERL. As well, we had a weekly CRT to the upside. That's the long-term draw on liquidity. On a daily, it told us another whole story. Because as you guys know, we're day traders. The daily time frame impacts the 4-hour, hourly, and the 15-minute and 5-minute. Since we are not day traders, we execute based on the 5-minute/15-minute. And our trades usually last around a day or so. Since these last a day or so, we're not here in a trade for a long term. We're not holding it for a week, 2 weeks. We're just holding it for a couple hours or possibly a day. So it's a short moves that occur. Short moves / short-term draw on liquidity is what matters to us. Since we just go for short moves, short-term moves, we're going to go prioritize the short-term draw on liquidity over the long-term draw on liquidity. But as you guys already know, the short-term draw on liquidity is always will be leading to the long-term draw on liquidity. Logically, that's how the market moves. Since the market is controlled, it's gonna move. How the higher time frame has higher power. If the higher time frame has higher power, it's gonna go to the higher time frame. But the lower time frame is gonna go through phases to the higher time frame. It's gonna be shifting, looking to the downside, upside, downside, upside, and eventually reaching the draw on liquidity. Now on a daily to the downside, we had a midweek reversal. We had a SMT with this high. So this high was protected. The midweek reversal was protected. The Wednesday high was protected here. We as well had a daily CRT to the upside, Monday's counter range. We as well had a premium IRL to discounted ERL. And that was for our higher time frame draw on liquidity. We have tapped the premium of the daily range. We were already in there already before. So we want to go down to the daily range low. Now in the lower time frame, what we had over here was a daily range for market context and narrative. What we had for this trade was a daily range, market push at a high, push at a low, stable high, and a stable low. Premium region, discount region, we're in premium, so you want to sell. We have tapped the premium of the daily range, so we now go to the daily range low. We as well had a right over here in the hourly time frame. We had a hourly OTE, so we're just going back to the OTE. Eventually, we had SMT. Now, what else we had? as a market context as narrative, bearish order flow. We're broke with the lows. Order flows overall bearish. We had a New York reversal profile 2, 5 AM accumulation, 9 AM, 5 AM accumulation, 9 AM manipulation, and 1 PM expansion. The market had a SMT, so SMT confirms that is a New York reversal. Our CRT was overall this candle. This 5 AM is our CRT. And keep in mind, this is not a New York continuation, because if it was a New York continuation, we would have not taken the trade simply because there was not legit high. It says a New York reversal, we are good because there's an SMT on the high, so the high is protected. So we are looking for a reversal that with that. But if it were a New York continuation, we would have not taken a trade. It says a New York reversal, we're looking to execute the trade to the downside. A 4-hour key level was this 4-hour order block that presents our liquidity. Now that's what we had in a higher time frame. So now if we go scale down to the 15-minute time frame, using time frame alignment from a 4-hour to the 15-minute, what we had is we had the right time of the SMT, which both had a same hour SMT. We had the right time of the purge between 6 AM and 10:30 AM. Purge happened at 9:15 AM on GU. We as well had the right number 1, which was the number 1 that we're looking for is either a full candle closure or a consecutive candle closure. No body on the normal candle. So in this case, we had a consecutive candle closure. The consecutive candle closure, we did not proceed to take it. There was 2 reasons. First, he offered us less than 2 RR to our main take profit. Second, it was fat and thick, so we want to enter on the threshold, which never got tapped, since it would have not made sense for the threshold to get retapped into, since the market has already done a impulsive move to the downside. Since he has already done a impulsive to the downside, it would have not made sense for the market to retrace all the way back to the threshold and go lower. So that's what made us dismiss this trade. I will not count this as a missed trade. I'll just count it as a market recap, but it's definitely a lesson that we can learn from this. Our entry could have definitely been the order block itself, since it would have not made sense for the market to go back all the way up to the threshold. We could have used the first order block, but our order block was already here. This candle is our order block, or number 1. But we could have used this to get that advantage on the RR, or we can get a 2 RR and above. And our stop loss is still right down over here, simply because the threshold is protected. So our stop loss right here would make sense to put it. Now take profit, same TP, only 1 take profit, which would have been a positive 2.7 RR, which we did not make it. We missed it. Market just went down and here to take profit without giving us the entry. But that is where the lesson comes from. The lesson comes from is using logic and awareness and smartness. No, okay. Market did a big push to the downside, a impulsing to the downside. Our model 1 is this right over here. This is no longer our model 1. This is our new model 1. So this new model 1, our threshold is right over here. Since the market did a big impulsive move to the downside, it would have not made sense for the market to go all the way back up to the threshold and go lower. That's market is losing too much money on that. So if that's going to happen, instead of us entering on this model 1, which is the actual one we're supposed to use, we're going to use the other model 1 and use it as advantage and short it down, or long it up, in this case shorting it down, and putting our stop loss still to the body because the threshold is protected and market did do a big impulse and move to the downside. Eventually from there on forward, you see where the market landed to. So the lesson is primarily to use logic and sense, since because market did an impulse to the downside, since our order blocks right over here. So our model 1 would have not made sense for the market to go back all the way up to threshold and go lower. So we're primarily using the first candle as our entry, just to get the edge out of the market where we can make more RR if it potentially hits take profit, which it does. And so we can make more instead of entering here for a 1-to-1 RR and breaking our rule, which we can't take this. We can only take this right over here. So the threshold does not make sense because my rule says if the market does a pose to the upside or downside and it does not make sense for the market to go to the number one, to the threshold, I would enter the I would just enter the number one, which is primarily this is our actual number one, and put our stop loss just above the body. But in this case, the consecutive candles, there's still our number one, but we could use our edge still and enter on this number one right over here, the first consecutive candle, and put our stop loss right over here, giving us more RR and enough RR for us to execute this trade because we need a minimum of 2 RR. This is the trade recap. I mean, not trade recap, this is a market recap. This is a semi-missed trade recap, so a semi-market recap. I'm not going to call this a miss, but I'm going to call this a lesson to have awareness, to be smart, to be logical, and use your logical senses, because it logically didn't make sense for the market to go up all the way here. But yeah, this is the trade recap. Thank you for watching. The whole reason during that time of me trading, what I can reflect on is what I was feeling during that time. I was like, okay, I'm going to enter here because, you know, because of the mod was all the way here. Does it make sense? Because I can't enter here of the low RR. So that's why make an enter here, because I've never had a situation where I just using the first auto block. So there's a new situation. So it's more overall in a market recap and a lesson to be more smart and use your logical senses, because market will always not give you the perfect trade, perfect opportunity. It will give you a perfect opportunity. The only time the market will ever give you the perfect opportunity is when they follow your rules. It's all the market could do. Market follow your rules. That's the perfect thing you need. You don't need anything other than that. Anything other than that, you gotta use you gotta be smart. You know what I'm saying? Use your intuitions, use logic, use awareness, smartness, and all of that. Because market will not always be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect except God. But the market is perfect in one way. The only way it's perfect, the only thing it's imperfect in is following your trading guideline rules, which will not occur every single time, but it will occur. When it does occur, that's a perfect time. And that's all it could do. All it could do is just repeat and respect your trading guideline rules and potentially offer you a setup which could go on a loss or a win based on probabilities. Thank you for watching. That's the lesson of the trade. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share, and join our Discord link down below. And I'll see you guys later. See you guys later. To the SCT people who takes notes, you can learn from me as well. And this is more on the market recaps as missed trade recap, because I never had this type of entry happen to me. This is a new way, so it's more on the market recap, not a missed trade recap. I'm actually gonna put it on the market recap instead of the missed trade recap, because I've never had this happen to me before. It's a new scenario, but this new scenario will be noted down and used as an advantage to help me grow even further in my trading journey. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.